Welcome back, everybody, to the second episode of what we're calling JackieChats. Today, I'm joined with our special guest, Bob Buster Art. He's my co-star in Optimus Prime Productions, or Smitty Plays Transformers stop motion series Transformers Into Darkness. He's a new arrival in the series, coming out swinging, voicing no less than three characters in the two episodes of season two that have come out so far. He voices our new Bumblebee as of the second episode, as well as in new arrivals in Wheeljack and Ultra Magnus. Bob's a man of many talents. In addition to voice acting, he's a passionate artist, as his Instagram handle is bobbuster_art, where you can see his vast portfolio of artwork. He's a comic book aficionado, taking inspiration from them in his art, and is a budding author in his own right, taking over writing duties for his own stop motion series, all of which we'll be discussing in this episode. Today, we'll be changing up the presentation of this show. We'll be starting off with an interview portion before shifting into an unscripted discussion afterwards. This way, we'll be able to talk freely about what we want and allow everyone to hear our thoughts in their most authentic form, unfiltered slightly. I'm not monetized right now, so who cares? Now, without any further glazing to do, Bob, introduce yourself for us.
Hi. Um, like I suppose Jackie just said, my name is Bob Buster. Well, I'm an artist. I do voice acting on the side. I love what I do. I try to do my best at it. And if any one of you happens to see that or even appreciate it, means the world to me. And I hope that everything that I keep doing keeps on inspiring or even giving you all a sense or just something positive within each of your lives. Thank you for allowing me to do what I do, and hopefully I can keep being that. I kind of botched that introduction. My apologies.
Yeah, well, you didn't write that. No worries.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we'll be starting off with the interview portion. Try to keep it simple and streamlined, especially for our discussion portion later on. Um, all right. You are a new arrival, but not necessarily a new associate of the creatives. How did you come to be associated with Into Darkness?
Well, Into Darkness actually was I should say that it began in the series that I was originally writing for a fellow stop motion animator. This was about four or five, no, this was, I'm sorry, 6 years ago. 6 years ago to this day, um, I came to know both Optimus Prime Productions and Joanne Ying, who voices RC, Chromia, and Elita One on the Into Darkness show. And I knew them within the group chat for the series. Optimus Prime Productions was originally cast to be our Optimus Prime, and Joanne was voicing many of the female characters that we had in the series. I came to know them over the years as the series was kind of in production. But we really bonded over a special, which would have involved the story of Into Darkness and the story of Broken Future interconnecting in some sort of multiversal sort of crossover, which unfortunately did not pan out, both due to I guess timing differences with Into Darkness and the direction that Optimus Prime Productions wanted to take his series towards. And unfortunately, with the forced and early cancellation of what was originally Broken Future. Um, Outside of that, I kind of have remained in contact with both Joanne and Optimus Prime Productions. And over time, I just became closer friends with each of them, finding that I actually have some shared commonalities with each of them, and outside of just being a fan of Transformers. Um, I suppose I can go into further detail, but for example, with Optimus Prime Productions, he and I have both bonded over our creativity and even just like our love for stop motion, um, which was really you can actually see the passion within his own animations that he's done over the years. There was a casting call for originally Ultra Magnus that Optimus Prime Productions put out for Into Darkness. And unfortunately, not being involved in any voice acting projects for a little while at this time, I wanted to give my shot at it and see if I could actually land the role. Because I was actually, well, by this point, uh, season one had already ended on the finale, and I was actually very impressed by like the production and even the performances that each one of you was able to put into it. That I actually saw this as like, a something above a amateurish production. So I respected that, but I also wanted to see if I could actually match or even like be a part of a show like that. So I tried out for the role, and I put in a lot of myself in the voice take, um, just from stuff that I was going through at the time. And Optimus Prime Productions, or Smitty, he liked what I did, and I was cast as Ultra Magnus, basically. And I that was a great moment for me, actually, as I think about it now. But obviously, time has passed since then, and I've gotten two more roles, and
Absolutely, yeah.
there's even like a another role that I have. I think I haven't really mentioned it to you, but there's a character that we discussed about Smitty and I, that I will be voicing when he eventually gets around to introducing this character. So I do hope that, you know, um, all I can say about him is that he's really not all that well in the head. So if someone finds any enjoyment in the performance, you know, great. I just don't think you're gonna enjoy it quite as much as the other characters that I've voiced in the series so far. But hopefully it's enjoyable on some level.
Mhm. So, wow. I uh I don't think I knew about that. A crossover between Into Darkness and Broken Future, huh? Hmm.
Yes. The I suppose I can elaborate on the plot if you'd like.
Yeah, of course. Next question's actually give us more of a Broken Future. Go all in.
Okay. Well, the history of Broken Future is interesting. So it wasn't originally my own series. I kind of came onto the project. Well, I suppose it was as it was kind of in the middle point of being actually made. So the animator that was originally doing the series, I suppose in a way he kind of did start it, but he had a script for episode one that, well, I wouldn't say was bad. In fact, I actually was well, I'd say that it actually had potential to be something far greater if he carried it in the right direction. I don't necessarily know why, but the series, I guess, was originally canceled. And I was really upset at the time because I had wanted to get into the realm of voice acting and even kind of like being a part of a Transformers stop motion production. Since I was a kid, I was a big fan of like some of the stuff that was on YouTube from about 2009 to 2014. Like the stuff that was made by like Night Slash Productions. He's under a different name now. And even like a few other things like there's this one 10-minute stop motion battle between Optimus Prime and Megatron done by well I think his Instagram username is Sparkside or something like that. His name's Brandon Torrio, I believe. Anyways, I was really impressed by his work when I was growing up, and that inspired me when I was a kid to want to be involved with the franchise on that own level. So, returning to where I was originally going with Broken Future, I was very upset when the series was originally canceled. And about a week or so later, the same animator kind of puts out this story post on his Instagram page, and he asks for someone to write the stories for his series. And I had some reservations at the moment just because it's like I would be writing this series for basically nothing. But I nonetheless offered my help to this animator who was very appreciative at the time. I turned in a draft for the first episode that I saw. Just being just being a continuation of I suppose the G1 cartoon. I did take some inspiration in some small ways from his original script that he had written out, but I changed it in different ways. Like for example, his original draft included Megatron and Starscream existing in the same the same room basically. And while that's not a bad thing by any means, it breaks G1 continuity, and I did I did change that to both include a way for Megatron and Galvatron to coexist in the same basically timeline. But I had essentially written um, Megatron in place for the setting which this animator was actually setting up for Galvatron. I suppose I can mention him. He might not the animator that I keep referring to. His Instagram user was Chicken Buddy Productions. Um, he was a okay guy, and we actually did put together basically a slightly incomplete version of season one. And unfortunately, there were some changes he made with my scripts that I might not have done, but the series itself was pretty much well, there wasn't really too enough of an altering of the story itself for it to be like something that I would be ashamed of, let's just say. Um, so Broken Future gets canceled, but I have stories in my head that just won't I just can't put them aside mentally. I have to get them out. It was around the time that I was actually writing scripts for season two that Chicken Buddy decided to cancel the series. And I that was the moment where it's just like I just, you know, what do you do with like this thing that's like burning a hole in your brain sometimes? You have to get it out. So I kept writing the scripts, and currently right now I've given myself a bit of a break to take care of a lot of stuff in my personal life, but I have up to 6 seasons written out actually right now that hopefully will see the light of day in some form of animation or another.
Speaking of your art again, where did you learn to draw?
Well, that's also another history lesson. I was drawing since I was 4 years old. I've had teachers over the years who have kind of like helped guide me and really developing my ability to I suppose capture what it is that I see in my mind. And from there, I guess different lessons from that I've learned over the course of my life from these teachers that, well, I guess suppose that the abridged version is just that I learned from them. So I've just had lots and lots of teachers and plenty of juice. But for people who want to learn to draw, I suppose something that other artists have recommended doing that I've even kind of embraced in my own ways that I've at times I've carried a sketchbook with me, and I will on occasion sit down and just draw something that I see. And if I can actually manage to capture it, of course, it takes a lot of trial and error, but if you can actually capture that, then it means that you improve, and the more you do it, the better at it you get until over time, your work doesn't look like something you can cringe at. Something, in fact, it actually might look pretty good by some people's standards, or that's the hope anyway.
You have told me before that you're a big comic fan. What comics did you read growing up?
Well, my first comic book was it was a Spider-Man comic. Spider-Man was kind of my favorite actually when I was like very, very young. And just from that moment, it was actually the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man film that I watched one time with my cousin. I must have been like 4 years old or something like that. But watching that movie for the first time, kind of like never even understanding the concept of a superhero or even like just a guy with like some sort of special powers was just like such a mind-blowing thing for me. So Spider-Man was, I suppose, obviously going to be my first comic book. But I got my first Spider-Man comic when I was like 10. And it was like a Marvel Adventures Spider-Man number 44, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Since then, it's kind of, I suppose, evolved into a more profound love for like just comics in general, in a way. Not outside of superhero comics also, but um, I suppose if someone was to take a look at my personal collection, they'd probably see way too many superhero comics, and they'd probably say, "Okay, geez, we get it, guy. You like superheroes. Geez, you don't have to rub it in our faces or whatever." But yeah, it's a very fascinating industry. There's a lot of just creative, just talents that have made it what it is over the course of like well, here in the West, it's been going on maybe since like easily the 1930s. But it, though without those creative talents, I believe that it would not be what it is today. And you know, the love for the industry, I suppose that I have just comes from like learning about all that and just seeing like just all the various wonderful things that have been introduced um in just that period of time. Outside of superheroes too, just like the fantastic, the amazing, and just the things that are just simply out of this world.
All right. Now, moving on into our discussion portion, I'd like to stay on the topic of comic related things, specifically their adaptations, because they used to be kind of the biggest thing in the world, like half a decade ago, because that's how far away, that's how long it was since Avengers Endgame.
Uh,
But it's gone to crap so quickly.
yeah, I know. God, I mean the MCU, what they're kind of dealing with right now, the writing may have been on the wall for a very long time. It might have even gone so far back as like I guess the moment that Marvel or Kevin Feige or whoever announced that they were going to be doing a cinematic universe that would basically all lead up to like the first ever live action Avengers movie ever. And I say that because of like what we kind of had before that in some fashion. The movies themselves that came before the MCU, they are not to blame so much. It's the well, it's really the production companies and maybe even like just like the movie studios faults, I suppose. When the MCU started, they needed more than just the Avengers, I think, to really fully capture the feel and the overall story of the Marvel Universe. I think maybe that's one reason, among other more obvious reasons why right now they're kind of failing because after Endgame, the Avengers were like the single strongest pillar holding up the roof of this temple, I guess. And it's like the Avengers aren't technically gone, but everybody that we knew that made them up, that made up the team, they are gone. Like Steve Rogers is gone, Tony Stark is dead. Chris Hemsworth's Thor is still around, but with Chris Hemsworth's unfortunate, I believe it's Alzheimer's that he was diagnosed with more recently.
Symptoms of the sword. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thor is not long for the MCU, and I guess Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, love him or hate him, he definitely is not Edward Norton's Hulk. I'll say that much. And that's kind of like not to put down Mark Ruffalo as an actor, of course. I'm just saying like Edward Norton got his own Hulk movie with the potential to make that into a trilogy. Ruffalo's Hulk only got the first Avengers movie, and he's basically been a side character this entire time. And some people might say, well, Ruffalo's Hulk is Edward Norton's Hulk. They're the same character. That's fine, but let's face it, has any Hulk movie been made since they cast Mark Ruffalo? Like an actual trilogy? I mean, I know they've talked about giving him his own trilogy of Hulk movies, but you know, um, we have not really been given anything in the course of like 10, 15 years.
I mean, to be fair, that's somewhat related to distribution rights.
Well, yeah, that is true. And I guess when I say that, I'm not trying to sound disingenuous, but
Of course.
just saying that Ruffalo as the only guy we've ever had of the original team. And, you know, of course, you have Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow is dead, but, I guess they can do like more sequels set in the past if they really wanted to. But, it's like after Renner's gone, it's going to just be Ruffalo, and it's kind of like bonding. It's kind of like focusing on a side character to fill out the duration of your ongoing franchise, which that's one reason story-wise that I can think of why the MCU is kind of like not quite what it is. I mean, you have like some ideas that needed more time and development. Unfortunately, they just never really got that. Um, and the whole issue with CGI and practical effects with the MCU now, with like, I don't know, the you hear like we had the whole like deal with the CGI in She-Hulk, and some of the uncanny valley moments that popped up just from watching the CGI puppet for She-Hulk. The initial ones. I'm not like the ones that we saw in the trailer initially. Some of those are still kind of nightmare fuel in some way, but um, obviously the workers that did that animation, they were underpaid, and the conditions in their work environment was not the best. So it's understandable, but it has not contributed. Well, I should say it hasn't contributed to the MCU still standing tall since Endgame, and just in my opinion, it's kind of helped contribute to their downfall slightly in some other ways.
Yeah, a former roommate of mine has a friend in the VFX industry. I believe she was part of the Marvel team, and my roommate just kind of brought up the stress that she had, and just knowing how, especially with the information that came out of how Marvel specifically had some bullying power within the industry, how
Yeah.
they'll blacklist anyone. It's like Jesus Christ, dude. But for the longest time, as the MCU grew stronger, everyone's eyes were on the remaining studios to give up the rights. It's like, we want Marvel to do them right. And there's some good and bad things to say about that looking back,
Mhm.
especially in hindsight with how Disney has, bought 20th Century Fox and
They
do
had their partnership with Sony that uh well, Sony pulled the rug out from under them, I suppose, with the after the release of Far From Home for Spider-Man. They renewed it to make No Way Home, but yeah, I do remember that period of time, actually. It was a
it
I
was
mean,
tumultuous, but some of the memes about like how Mysterio exposed Spider-Man so hard that he left the MCU were perfect.
I remember those. I remember those.
But yeah, I don't know, it's especially with the oversaturation situation. Bob Iger, uh, CEO of Disney, he temporarily left, handpicked Bob Chapek
Mm,
to essentially take the fall. And granted, Chapek did he kind of contributed to like the overall oversaturation stuff himself. So I'm not absolving him of blame, but with Iger coming back, I don't think it worked out the way he wanted it to, of just like making it seem like he was the savior because I don't know. I mean, Marvel still got a whole bunch of stuff to poop out after three-ish consecutive years of just endless, like mid after mid after mid. It's just I don't know. It's like it was a smart move to only release Deadpool and Wolverine in theaters this year,
mm.
but I'm pretty sure its profits will be wiped out by the next few movies coming out because I don't think anyone's interested in those. And and so yeah, it's just I don't know. We wanted them to do the X-Men right after all this time, but they've been hanging on to the Fox version of X-Men this entire time. They've been pretty hesitant to do an original, Professor X and Wolverine and the like. And so, and even with Fantastic Four, they're like setting them in an alternate universe from the main MCU, and Doctor Doom is
Yeah,
played by Robert Downey Jr. It's like, I don't know, it's not quite the X-Men 4 that I was thinking of.
exactly. And I guess they try to kind of come up with ways to make this all make sense within the context of the MCU. They're saying now, I guess, that Doctor Doom is supposed to be a variant of Tony Stark, like in the way that you know, Kang had his variants all throughout like the multiverse. And I mean, you can do that, but intertwining both Tony Stark and Victor Von Doom is, well, that's a mistake in my honest opinion. But I don't know. I'm sure that Downey will play the role well. What I would hate to see, honestly, is to have like him speak exactly the way like Tony Stark was written in like the latter half of the MCU, barring, of course, Endgame. But you know what I mean, like the quippy dialogue. It's like imagine Doctor Doom, master of the world. He's kind of like saying, talking about like how much he likes cheeseburgers or how much he like I don't know, how he's just like the smartest person in the world and kind of just bragging about himself constantly while I guess dishing out sarcasm or whatever to Reed Richards, who's just trying to like stop him from destroying everything.
And I think they confirmed that he will be playing the Doctor, Victor Doom within the Fantastic Four's universe. Now, whether or not they'll be showing his face, I mean, they're literally paying the guy like $100 million to show up. I don't think a diva like Downey is not going to show his face, even though that's kind of the point of Doom.
I
Um,
know.
but I don't know. Like I watched him in Oppenheimer. Granted, I haven't seen too many other movies with him, but he can act. He can
Oh,
definitely play a more gravitas laced role.
oh
And
yeah. Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, I just don't think he will be playing Tony Stark because everyone else has got that covered. Literally every other hero in the MCU is Tony Stark. So I don't think they're gonna make I don't think they're gonna make Doom Tony.
Yeah, I don't think that they will. though I don't know. Of course, when I say that, I guess I should. He is a very versatile actor, and I we have seen him play like far more serious roles even before he played Iron Man originally. He was like he had the versatility and like the gravitas needed to like just play the roles he was given almost to a heartbreaking letter at times.
Yeah, he can play a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude, stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah. I guess when I kind of like talk about the dialogue portion for specifically Doctor Doom, I'm more referring to like the writing team that the MCU has been using, and the writing for a lot of the MCU's shows and even like a little bit of their movies hasn't really been quite what it used to be, I suppose.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, Deadpool and Wolverine make several jokes about it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel I'm gonna get hate for this. I know I still need to actually see that movie. I just need to actually mm, I need to make it down to my local theater. It's been like so long since I've actually just watched a movie.
Yeah. So yeah, just word of advice to James Gunn as he makes this new DC universe. Don't oversaturate the market. Don't abuse your VFX employers. And I think he's doing good on that because he storyboards the hell out of his movies. Um,
Mhm.
don't adapt to comics that killed your own studio. Don't don't lose the heart. Make sure that you hire good filmmakers first and foremost. They don't need to be fans of the comics, but make sure they know what they're getting into so they can put respect on the fans' names.
Exactly. That's actually that seems to be the major disconnect with actually almost every like major movie making corporation that has, I guess, tackled the superhero film in some fashion. Their contributions to these projects, unfortunately, have more often than not been the reason for why these movies fail. And the MCU was kind of like what set itself apart from all that before was that, they originally promised us like this big grand epic that would have culminated in the first Avengers film. Success. You did it after the first movie, and then you're setting up a sequel? Oh, okay. Let's ride this train for the long haul. And you know, um, and I'm sure that you had executives that were working on some of those projects too. And however, however to what limit those contributions were from them on those projects, may vary, and I don't have the data to really like um say what which is which, but I would just say that you know yeah, no, don't
Don't micromanage. Yeah.
yeah, don't micromanage, and try if you can, like if the filmmakers is like totally nuts, and you should not associate with them, and they want to have like make a flash movie or something like that where he you know uh like let's just say that he spray paints like all pigeons must die. The Flash spray paints all pigeons must die across Central City because this filmmaker wants to do that. You should not, you probably should stop the project at that point. But, you know, at when it comes down to like, like good filmmakers who want to deliver upon who want to deliver you these great projects, like I guess I can think of maybe like James Wan's Aquaman. Like the first movie actually was, I thought, pretty good. I mean, I read the comics when I was in high school, that were out at the time, and you know, that movie actually captured everything that that character represented in some fashion.
Yeah, the color grading too. I haven't watched it, but the color grading, especially compared to Marvel, made it really look like a comic book.
It really was, and that's actually something that made it visually distinct from a lot of the films that were like a lot of the comic movies that had been done at the time. I mean, like Joss Whedon's cut of Justice League, like splashed at color everywhere as where it could, which did not look good, but for Aquaman, it looked really, really good. Like, I would say for that reason alone, if with the new DC movies, if they can do that, then I think they're going to see some success. Whether or not they can actually keep it going for like 10, 12 movies, because unfortunately DC has not been able to deliver on that. You know, even before like this whole competition with the MCU started, they have not been able to properly deliver on that. At least like in the form of a cinematic universe. They've had good
Yeah.
movies before then, but you
Yeah,
know, it,
a mean-spirited joke I made back when Marvel was still good and back when Disney hadn't bought Fox. I was like, Marvel makes consistently good movies, DC makes consistently bad movies, and Fox is kind of in between. It's just whatever, depending on the day of the week.
yeah, that's actually well, it was accurate back then, but it I guess we can't really say Fox now because they technically are owned by Disney Marvel,
Yeah, so Fox, of course, doesn't make those movies anymore.
but it's still the DC and Marvel one is still relevant to this current day and age. But who knows? Maybe James Gunn will surprise us all.
Yeah, the Superman set photos, which I'm pretty sure weren't actually leaked because, movies live off those supposedly leaked set photos. That's how they build hype. But yeah,
Exactly.
but Superman himself looks cool. Like the costume designs on Lois Lane, the other Daily Planet guys. I'm not a huge DC guy. I don't know much about Superman, but even I can say that is Superman. So what you've told me both on and off camera, if you want to call it, for Broken Future, has got me pretty interested. It is, I think you've called it like a G1, a continuation of G1, but an alternate universe, like where the 86 movie didn't exactly happen.
Um, I would, I suppose you could say an alternate universe, sure.
Sure.
Um, it is it is a concept of G1 or a potential fill-in for G1 had you followed everything up from season one through season two, but if it had gone in a completely different direction, actually. So, yeah, actually, alternate universe, I guess. Fun.
Yeah, like aesthetically, I'm kind of looking forward to it because I know that you've told me that Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime is a very high priority on your toy checklist because that is the Optimus that'll be standing in for your series.
That is correct. And you know, what I will say to that is this one is just from like the photos alone, it's easily like the best like Optimus Prime figure we've gotten in terms of his G1 representation that um I suppose outside of Masterpiece and in a mainline release, uh yeah, that's just like the be all end all. Like I can't think of anything that possibly looks better, at least not at this point.
I've got an
Um,
idea. Don't misassemble the heels right out the factory.
yeah, I remember you were telling me about that. Yeah,
Yeah, like compared to ideas I have for my own series, which again, no guarantee I ever get around to animating one. But for the most part, it has kind of like the studio series live action movie aesthetic to it, somewhat similar to Optimus Prime Productions, but unlike, his series where he's doing like a rewrite of the Bayverse movies and you're doing like a rewrite of, G1 in a sense. I take heavy inspiration, but try to do my own thing. Like my main cast, I settled on the guys from the main five from Rise of the Beasts, but Wheeljack specifically, because if you can't tell, he's my favorite Transformer.
Mm.
I prefer him to be based off the Bumblebee movie toy rather than the Rise of the Beasts one. That's the only change I'll really make. Um, return to like the standard, five man team basically, and then expand from there. I am a big fan of like Transformers animated and how it paid tribute to all the things that came before it. So further Autobot um additions, like if they ever make one, I would love to include an Armada Jetfire, for example.
I'm eagerly awaiting the day when they announce that they're going to do Armada Jetfire.
Yeah, and apparently in a recent interview they already said that in the Armada Optimus they already engineered the Jetfire tooling for Optimus, so it's only a matter of time, really.
Oh man, I'm counting down the days, man. I'm
Yeah.
counting down the days. Um, but yeah, I understand.
Yeah, when it comes to aesthetics, I think the new movies, Bumblebee and Rise of the Beasts, might have my favorite designs for the Transformers. Like, I love the realistic way the Bavers did it, but kind of like compartmentalizing it and just smoothing it out, giving the characters more individual, character design, as well as translating cartoon designs into movie format is probably the way to go. Not just G1. I mean, Thrust in the Bumblebee movie is essentially a fusion of the G1 Tetrajet design and his Armada color scheme.
hmm
Uh, Scourge is essentially his robots in disguise version in Evil Optimus Prime. Uh,
mm. Well,
and
essentially, yeah.
yeah, and those are the two big ones I could think of. But they brought in the Beast Wars characters. Bumblebee is essentially a slimmed down version of his Baver self now, the 77 Camaro,
Mm.
which is proof to me that Sideswipe and Ironhide's Baver's designs could also work in this style. And I hope if they bring those characters back, they use those designs.
Well, I would like to see like side swipes like Bayverse, the Corvette Stingray concept car that was never ever released to the general public. They only made, I think they only technically made the one for like the movies, but that car being as like just beautiful as that is, I
Utterly,
actually,
utterly, breathtakingly, effortlessly sexy car.
yes. I would love to see that thing come back again. Seriously. Um, And if it happens to show up in a future Transformers movie, then I'd be open to that, you know?
Of course. And this is just my personal opinion, but Sideswipe and Ironhide's G1 designs are probably the most Mook-like designs you'd ever see. They just look so incredibly generic, and they're all red too. It's like a little red abuse. Way too many red characters in G1. So
That's true.
yeah,
Unfortunately, well, I guess it kind of goes into primary colors. That's a callback to a conversation that we had just before doing this interview, folks.
yeah. Primary colors are I could be completely wrong, but I think they're scientifically proven to attract kids the most. That's why the Bumblebee movie rather smartly featured a red and blue duo with Bumblebee himself, and why Optimus and Bumblebee, aside from being the two most marketable characters, are, you know, pushed the way they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so I would say the like more refined live action aesthetic is my favorite, but the cartoon and the overcomplicated designs I love too. Like like in my series, like I wouldn't say Prowl would be a main character, but I would love for animated Prowl to exist in this universe. I'd love for, even from the kids show like Rescue Bots Academy, I'd love for those characters to be fully realized, maybe a little updated to be more, to be older, more combat oriented, things like that. And, of course, just paying tribute because a lot of people our age or my age, grew up with things like Transformers Prime. And, don't get me wrong, I love that cartoon growing up. But it does feel like that's the only cartoon people seem to remember. They just kind of hand wave the Unicron trilogy, animated, etc., away. Uh, you would think that they think Prime came up with the character of Bulkhead, for example. So
I have seen a few, well, I've run across a few, well, I suppose you might call them fans, but they actually were unaware of Transformers Animated's Bulkhead's existence. So you're accurate in your statement there.
I guess we just found some fake fans, bruh. But
Yeah, weed them out, weed them all out. We don't need them in here. They're ruining it all. Uh, I I don't know why I just did that. I'm sorry.
well, I guess I know where your vocal range comes from. But yeah,
Thanks. I yeah, I suppose you all just got a sample of what I can do.
yeah,
Hope you all enjoyed that. All right. I probably I don't know if I'll do anything quite like that for the rest of this interview.
yeah. Well, another reason why I kind of like the movie aesthetic is because I really do think that the human aspect of Transformers is pretty underrated among fans. Like you hear them saying, humans shouldn't be in these movies. They should only be on Cybertron, or they should be on a human-less Earth, or stuff like that. I'm like, well, you lose the purpose of Transformers. They're robots in disguise for a reason, you know? Um,
Um,
and don't get me wrong, I am not looking forward to that G.I. Joe crossover movie. Like, I did not grow up with G.I. Joe. I don't want to see it. I don't care, but whatever. So, uh, but yeah, I took inspiration from this one anime slash manga series called Triage X. Kids, don't look it up. It's kind of a, adult oriented. But if you remove like the overly adult aspects of that series, you get characters that I like, characters and a setting that I think could be re-engineered to fit a Transformer setting. So, to include human characters, which most fan works don't do, and I value my role as General Bryce in Into Darkness as like the main human character of that series. Uh, I think the human aspect is what relates us to the Transformers, and thus the live action um, aesthetic works the best.
yeah, I can see what you mean. It reminds me of a point that well, I can't remember the discussion at the time when it was being made, but I remember someone in an interview speaking about like a scene in the 2007 movie actually. It was the scene where well, Optimus, Ironhide, Ratchet, and Jazz they first come to Earth, and now Bumblebee is bringing Sam Witwicky and Michaela Baines to meet them, basically to explain to us the plot of the movie, why they're there, and all that. And I remember someone behind the scenes, either it was a Hasbro rep or it was someone commenting on something Michael Bay said, but whoever said this originally mentioned how there was this desire to really bring the Transformers into like the real world setting, and well, just kind of like bring them into like the aspect of robots in disguise, which you're right, actually, that's something about the franchise that really gets overlooked and I think unfortunately neglected a lot, actually, as I think about it.
Yeah, so for as much as I'm looking forward to the Transformers 1 movie coming out, I do think at this point the Cybertronian backstory has actually been done to death more than humans filling up the screen, at least in recent times.
Yeah, that's fair. I would
Yeah,
actually, I think one more thing I'll say to like humans being involved in just Transformers media in general is that there's kind of like this hatred for like the human characters that uh I mean if it's an anime and they're horribly dubbed or if maybe the voice actor yeah their performance like they're a good voice actor in all honesty it's just that the voice direction is just so off and makes the character just unbearable to watch.
or
Uh,
kicker never had a chance.
Kicker never had a chance. Oh man, that is such a shame too because Transformers Superlink, the show that you know was
Energon,
basically
yeah,
Energon got its dub from that. Well, that show just handles Kicker so much better, and I hate to say it, but Western anime dubs really really dropped the ball on that one. Uh,
it was a different time. Yeah,
yeah. Um, but yeah, human characters really do get neglected. And I think even like the human characters in Transformers Prime, even if I like them myself, like I'm actually in the camp that don't find Miko annoying. Like she's kind of like might be a little much at times, but she represents sort of our optimism and excitement and being this in a setting of like these giant robots that are literally like beating the crap out of each other and we're like watching it as it happens right there. It's like even as well as I'd argue that those characters are you know, development and other things like that are really things that in the past Transformers media is unfortunately neglected to do I suppose, or maybe just like handle in a different way that gives them as much depth as we would like to see the Cybertronian characters portrayed. And yeah, no, I could actually see your concept working pretty well that way too.
yeah. Another practical aspect, which I don't think many people think about, is when you include human characters, you sort of balance out the cast because I know how tempting it is to want to start off a series with like 10 Autobots and 20 Decepticons and have that be the main characters. It's like and that's something Smitty Plays actually just straight up said that he regrets doing with his own series.
Hmm.
Um, when you add human characters, you keep yourself in check. Okay, how do I divide screen time properly amongst all these people, all these characters, you know? Um,
Yeah.
the fan projects, I mean, they're fun because they don't have a budget, but at the same time, it would do a lot, it would do all of us well to practice restraint.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like a curb your enthusiasm sort of thing. You don't want to do it, but sometimes there's a reason why you should, I suppose. I get what you're saying. One thing I will say for Broken Future, is because uh, I actually make this mistake, in some fashion. I do have a human character, but he technically only shows up, well, he technically only shows up in season 3, and then it's like the next season he's gone. But yeah, that character is going to not be back for some time, so expect a lot of just Cybertronian violence for like I don't know, 8 seasons or something.
Well, if this is
My
still
apologies.
I mean, if this is still set during like the season three era of that show, I guess it kind of makes sense. But yeah,
Yeah, I guess if you look at it that way, sure.
yeah.
Well,
So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much my input on how I would handle a Transformer series. Of course, I would plan on having it get more fantastical and deep lore cut stuff going on into the future. But I think for what's supposed to be a core aspect of the series, it gets overlooked by the fandom a lot, and that's something that if I were to make a series, I'd hope to remind people why it's there.
Sure. And I I believe you actually showed me what you had written so far, and I can see the direction that you would take it, and I think that it has the potential to actually be, what you've basically described it as. So, you know, yeah, no, I'd say that you're valid actually in what you say and about your series and about where you would want to take it.
I'd hope so. We'll see.
Sure, sure.
Now, speaking of figures, I'd say okay, I'll admit I haven't been collecting very long compared to others. Um, I could be wrong on this, but I do think within the Generations line, the War for Cybertron trilogy that started about 5 years ago, that was kind of like a reboot of the Generations line. It was like if you could call it like a final hurrah for G1 characters, like especially because
Final hurrah, I guess, quote unquote.
yeah, especially because it seems to be a lot more streamlined compared to the Power of the Primes trilogy that came before it, or Combiner Wars, whatever, which was very gimmicky from what I saw. Um, the War for Cybertron trilogy was fairly, cartoon accurate stuff, and uh, even then, it took a lot of compromises with the design and stuff, and that's where 80 Studio Series 86 is coming in with very cartoon accurate, very like uncompromised toys. So like Ironhide and Ratchet no longer have their feet sticking out in vehicle mode and don't parts form their roof, And,
Yeah, exactly.
Bumblebee doesn't parts form his the back of his car mode. Ultra Magnus no longer has the white
Uh,
Optimus Prime inside him, etc.
like he's actually like a full-on robot, and you don't have to well, like what you said, no parts forming necessary.
Yeah. Um, so sure, while G1 may not be done, and it never really will be, the new blood, ever since the War for Cybertron trilogy ended, like we've got Evan Brooks and Mark Maher, taking charge on these wonderful toys across Studio Series and Legacy. But John Warden, he was the head of Transformers design throughout the War for Cybertron trilogy, and he left after Kingdom, but now he's coming back in a year or two. And that did have some people worried because he is a self-professed big G1 fan. May or may not be the reason why we had to wait until Legacy to get figures of the other cartoons that we've all been waiting for. Um, Now, I do kind of doubt after the success of multiple figures like the HasLab Omega Prime from Robots in Disguise outselling Unicron and the others. I don't think John Warden's return is completely grounds for fretting over a G1 takeover again.
Yeah, I think I understand where you're coming from. I'm not really too aware of the personalities involved with making these figures. I don't quite understand the hierarchies that Hasbro has within its business for its toy designers.
That's fair.
Though, if I might say something, like what you said, G1 is probably never going to be truly done, not so long as Hasbro is able to make money off of a another G1 Optimus Prime, like cab over truck with a trailer. Let's yeah, it's just we talked earlier about like how close to perfect the Studio Series 86 figure that's soon to be coming out, how close to perfect that one is in terms of representing like G1 Optimus Prime from the animation. Um, I doubt that he's going to be the last one that Hasbro ever makes within however long they will continue to produce Transformers or even like exist as a company. What I will say is that if we do go back to more G1 G1 characters, I think that there's still more characters from G1 for them to still do. You know, I think we only began to well, we've kind of only begun to scratch the surface of Beast Wars and like the even the Japanese extension of that continuity. But we've also only begun to like branch out into other parts of G1, like from the Japanese G1, Euro G1. We've seen characters from those universes show up in figure form since the original toys were released, but a lot of those figures haven't either gotten the proper treatment or they it has been some time since their figure came out. I think if we went back to that, I wouldn't be against it. But I mean, for me, you know, I was like a Unicron trilogy kid, and I even kind of like grew up watching both the animated and Prime. And I had like a lot of positive experiences with both those shows that I mentioned. Unicron trilogy, of course, being like the thing that kind of like keeps me grounded to Transformers as a brand. And it's kind of like been an incentive for me to actually come back and collect a lot of the current figures that were being released through Legacy. If we lose that, then it won't be the it probably won't be the last time I ever buy a Transformer, but it could be the point where it's like my enthusiasm for the franchise going forward might be curbed. And I guess I don't mean to elaborate on it to that degree, but that's just my first thoughts as I kind of hear that, I suppose.
Yeah. So, like, to explain to you in a way that, you can understand, because, well, to be fair, I'm not super knowledgeable about all this, but, John Warden has provided us with some of the best toys that this franchise has pumped out in recent years. So this isn't to, doom and gloom him. Um, I'm it's just, Hasbro bought the Power Rangers brand back in, was it 2018?
That's right.
And they were initially the the CEO, I believe his name was Brian Goldner, the CEO at the time, was extremely enthusiastic about Power Rangers' future. And in the Power Rangers fandom, it was big. Like Power Rangers changed its logo for the first time since like the 90s. Um, they were going back to adapting an older Super Sentai, the Japanese series that they blatantly take the footage from, legally, of course. But um, they were,
Saban. Saban. Sorry. Continue.
yeah, like, adapting Tokume Sentai Go Busters into Power Rangers Beast Morphers, which they initially skipped over a few years back. Um,
Mhm.
all this stuff, and it was a lot, but then it just died out. It died with Brian Goldner. Um, And then with the new CEO, Chris Cox, he just doesn't really seem to know what to do with Power Rangers. And I think when John Warden left Transformers to work on Power Rangers, the somewhat association with him kind of kind of leads negative, because the same way he's a big G1 Transformers fan, he seems to be a big fan of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers over the later series. So in the Power Rangers Lightning collection that Hasbro made, they made countless versions of the original, Mighty Morphin Rangers, but for the for the other teams, like RPM, Mystic Force, etc. They either barely
kind of,
got around to doing them or didn't do them at all, and now the line is just completely on ice. Um, and now it's come back to Transformers. So to some, it does feel like John Warden is just a big like fan of the originals, and then everything
everything.
else could just go kick a bucket.
Yeah, basically like just dead space doesn't exist, doesn't matter. I can see that being concerning. Um, it'll all have to
However,
play
yeah.
out before we really know for sure. I just have kind of made my personal statements of what I could find myself doing if, it ever happened that, yeah, so all those Unicron trilogy figures we leaked that we said we were going to release, the Voyager class Armada Red Alert that's supposed to come out. Oh yeah, we just canceled that. We're getting another G1 Optimus Prime. Oh look, we're also getting like another version of Shockwave. This is just like the Siege figure, but without the battle armor or something like that. Yay! We're selling it to you at the Voyager price point because he doesn't have all the parts now. So yeah, collector's score. Um, which again, I suppose nothing wrong with a release like that. Just that, like I said, and that would be the moment where someone could consider my enthusiasm quite curbed. Um,
So, again, no need for doom and gloom, but there is precedence. There is a precedent. I forgot the word, but it's it's not unforeseen. And considering how big Power Rangers was as a brand, and just to see it pretty much dead um, at this point is kind of disheartening. And while Transformers won't die because that's Hasbro's golden goose in a sense, um, it is slightly concerning. It can just stagnate again. But we will see. Like the guys doing the Studio Series 86 toys right now, like doing an even better G1 Optimus than the Earthrise version, for example, is also doing working on the movie figures. The team in charge of Legacy, giving us very accurate G1 figures like Gears and Skids, are also doing the animated Unicron trilogy, Prime, etc. characters. So I think Hasbro might know their value, and wouldn't it probably wouldn't do well to creatively stunt them.
yeah, I agree. I think I would hope that they don't do that. Um, I'll just kind of leave it at there because obviously stumping any creative drive is kind of a crime in it of itself. Um, so, you know, uh, I hate leaving it ambiguous, but really we just have to wait and see when like we cross that bridge, I guess. But we'll find out. I wish that I had a more positive response. You know, um, I wish that I could maybe provide some more I guess commentary. But really everything kind of just has to play out in its own time. If we do get more G1 characters, there's a chance that I'll just add them to like Broken Future in some fashion. But um, yeah, my I'm passionate about the things that make me excited and happy, and yeah, nostalgia is a factor too. But just the things that kind of like give me just give me that passion and that happiness, I guess, to like celebrate that thing, but also just kind of like maybe even create my own sort of things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this, this last talking point wasn't just like meant to be what is a younger Transformers fan's opinion on going back to the G1 only ages that the late 2010s did.
right.
It wasn't exactly that. I did want to add the input regarding the Power Rangers thing and just to see if, whether those concerns were justified or not, but I don't think it should be cause for concern to think uh that, we'll never complete the animated team, for example. I think we are in good hands. We'll see. It could change, but you know.
Yeah, for sure. Hmm.
Well, that will wrap things up for today's episode. Thank you, Bob, for being here for however long this was. Yeah, um,
Yeah, no
thank you for your
problem.
time.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on. It was a nice conversation.
Something I noticed about myself is the longer I talk and the more casual I get, my voice register kind of goes pretty high pitched. So it's probably not going to pick up well on on this speaker because my voice, at least in recorded cases, sucks.
Don't don't say that about yourself. You
At
know,
least, at least my voice act, I think it turns out all right. We'll see.
you sounded fine to me on my end, so if this is anything like that, then you should be good.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of reminded this one time I was helping out at my friend's dad's chicken farm, and God, it was so excruciatingly hot. I just at one point hit that level of pain where I was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I can deal with this. I can deal with the smell of chicken poop everywhere. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know that smell. My parents to try to save money on like stuff like eggs, they actually got a couple chickens and yeah, no, I'm the one that has to clean their pen. It's whenever I actually stop by their house, it's yeah, that's just disgusting. I finally had to invest in like a gas mask basically.
Oh, that's
But
one way to grow your food.
yeah, one way. Um, well, I don't know if they're saving money because they're spending a lot of money on feed and like I guess uh wood chips or whatever to kind of like contain the pee and poop of their existence.
I love the way this conversation's been heading, but yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I guess when you get into a conversation enough with me, you start to get into the awkward zone, but the awkward zone itself is usually like just like downplayed and sometimes like overplayed in a way. It's like you're swinging across like a cityscape and you sometimes you end up on like back where you started and sometimes you end up on another building. How's that sound?
um, Poopy, sure.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thanks again, Bob, for coming on, letting us hear from the guy of many talents. To hear more of him, watch Transformers Into Darkness Season 2 by Smitty Plays. It's here on YouTube. To go see his art, go to bobbuster_art on Instagram. Uh, we got to cover a lot of topics today, as I hoped. And Bob, I think you have an exciting future to look forward to. Any last words you'd like to say?
Um, well, good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. JackieChats signing off.